me adjust my lights a little bit so I'm not so bright and blind. I'm not a big fan of my webcam. I should just use the same camera I use for the Academy tutorials. All right, let's see who we have in the participants. Benjamin, Blake, John, Mark, Rykrent, and Florian. Let's promote Florian to panelist. I hope you're all doing well. Some names I recognize, some I don't. Would love to know where you're based. New York City. Wow, three New Yorks. All right. That's a very good excuse to organize a wee web meetup there.
Hello.
Benjamin, hi Flo. Blake from Utah. Are you Blake who used to work for Copy AI by any chance? I just remember that Blake lived in Utah because my sister used to live in Utah. How are you doing, Flo?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Doing good. And you guys?
Pretty good, especially now that I know I'll be organizing a meetup in New York with and I can ju and I can justify it. No, that's not you. So different Blake, different Blake. All right. Well, welcome on board. We're happy to have you and all of you. All right. So let's see. Do we have any? We don't have any questions in the Q&A box yet. But feel free to ask them. Benjamin's saying, let me know. Happy to help organize. That would be awesome. We sponsored a no code meetup last year. I think you have quite a large no code community in New York, and it went super well. We were kind of unlucky in the sense that apparently there was a huge rainstorm in New York that day, so there were less attendees than usual. But it looks like there's a really nice no code community in New York. Raglan is asking anyone in the UK. Would be curious to know. If anyone is in Liverpool, I would be also happy to visit. Sorry, I'm doing
Yeah,
my travel
exactly.
list while we're waiting for questions. And don't hesitate to ask your questions, preferably in the Q&A. Can you all see the Q&A window? And oh, it looks like GMs is turned off. I think you should be able to. Oh yeah, no, it's true. It looks like you don't have the option to. You might not have the option to chat directly with someone. And Benjamin is asking, what is the format for this session? All right, so every week at this time, we host an office hour with Florian, who is our CPO, or Chief Product Officer. So if you have anything that you would like prioritized on the roadmap, he's the person to try to to be
Indeed.
nice to. Um, a couple of hours earlier, we have Slavo who hosts an onboarding session. You may be coming from that session. So the onboarding session by Slavo is really a quick demo of WeWeb, an overview of how WeWeb works for beginners. It's not interactive at all. Well, it can be a little bit, you can ask your questions, of course, and Slavo will answer. And this session, the office hours are more like you are working on a project and you have a specific question. And if you have a question, you jump on, you share your screen, and you show us your project, and Florian or me try to help you through that project. So Blake has a question. There are a lot of different ways to do sorting. You can do it on the collection itself, the binded collection spot, or you can use the no-code filter formula. Is there one way that is better than the other? Maybe Florian, you can share your screen and show the
All right.
different options.
That's a good I can share the screen if you prefer.
Or unless Blake, if you have a specific, Blake, do you have like a specific like project you would like to show us, or would you rather we show it on our screen? If you want to hop on, I can promote you as a panelist, or otherwise we can just share our screen and show you. Yeah, you can hop on. Okay, uh let me promote you to panelist.
It's here.
And yes, Benjamin, please ask the questions in the Q&A. That way we can, I look at both, of course. So if you made a mistake and post it in the chat, it's fine. I'll try to keep it up, but it's just that the chat can move along quite quickly. So the Q&A view helps me moderate the questions. Hey, Blake.
Hello.
Hey, Blake.
Hi, how you doing?
All good. Yeah.
Good. So yeah, I've got a few questions about sorting. So I've done it a lot of different ways. I've done it through Xano and now I'm using Supabase.
Mm-hmm.
And first I was trying to sort it just through the
The
collection
query.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it works when I like use a selected field like name, and if I use this part for like ascended and descended, like that works. I can see that it's moving. But if I was trying to use variables so that when they click somewhere, it'll switch ascending, descending. But if I do it like this, it doesn't change when I
Yeah, I
type
think
it.
John is pointing something out in the chat as well. I believe it's because you need to have it as capital letters. Can you try ASC in capital letters?
Okay.
I'm not sure, Flo, but I think that's
That did it.
yeah.
That's exactly.
And John
Those little
mentioned
things are
he
the
have made
things that
a
I
feature.
always miss.
Yeah,
Like
and
something little like that.
it's really good feedback because in terms of usability, as John mentions, it's you know we can't expect you to guess that. So here you go.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
weird thing is that descended still worked with lowercase, but ace, like it still works with lowercase for descending, but not.
Because it's the default way. I think you could type in hi instead of desk and it would be desk, I think.
Oh, I see.
But what I
Okay.
can tell you, because you ask if it's a good practice to do it here instead of doing it where you buy.
Yeah.
So there is a huge difference between these two ways. So when you do it in here in the query configuration in the collection,
Uh-huh.
it's going to be a backend sort. So basically, you are asking Supabase to return the data with this configuration, with this filter, and with this sorting.
So if I have a lot of, like this one's for contacts, if it has a lot of contacts, I'm going to want to do it on the back
Exactly.
end so it doesn't pull as many and
Exactly.
sorts it for the
Exactly.
whole thing.
Because this is done on the backend side and not on the front end side. So if you have something like less than 1,000, you can do it on the front end side, but it's usually better to do it on the back end side, so you don't have to load everything on the front end side, especially if you are doing pagination or those kind of things.
Okay.
So the way
Perfect. Well, I
you did
think,
it, it's the best thing to do. When you
okay,
do it
I'll do it this way.
at the element level, it's going to be done on the front end side. So you need to have the data.
Using Xano, though, sorting here is still the front end, though, right? This only works for
Yes,
Supabase.
exactly. You need to add an input to your endpoint with Xano, a search input, for example, and then you need to bind
Uh-huh.
this
Okay.
one. So it's less native.
Yeah.
Or you can do what they call external filtering. So it's another way to do it. It's a way where you can allow the front end to ask for this information for Xano. So this is another way to do. If you type in external filtering with Xano, you will immediately understand how it works. But indeed, with Supabase, it's easier because we are using their SDK behind the curtain here. And so they deliver these features for the front-end application. This is why in here it's a backend filter.
Okay. Awesome. Last question. Where would I have found the answer to this being the capital? Or is that just something you would just know?
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe nowhere. I'm sure I wrote it somewhere sometime, but honestly, I think it's something we need to improve in the product. It's
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Usually if you bind something in the sidebar, you do have, a green or red dot telling you the expected format, and we should definitely do this here too.
yeah, I
Okay.
think it's the kind of thing that you'd probably find in the community, because someone already had the question because it's such a fair question, but yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to add a
Okay.
tooltip.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Um,
I think that's pretty much it then. Thank you.
awesome.
Okay,
Talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
thank you.
Okay, so the next question was from Vikrant or Vikrant. I don't know how to pronounce it, so you're gonna be able to tell me, which is awesome because I do not like when I don't know how to pronounce the name properly. And the question is, I need help with the image element. I want it to display a certain way, might need some CSS, which I'm a noob at. So
Hi, Joyce. Hi, Florian.
hi,
I think I got the panelist title, so I had to rejoin. But I'll put my screen share on and I'll explain the issue, right?
you can share your screen.
So, is it visible?
Yes, but first, can you please tell me how to pronounce your name properly?
The first pronunciation was pretty spot on. So it's Vikrant.
Vikrant. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Perfect. I'll show you how this works, right? There's a simple table. If I click this icon, slide bar opens, and this is like a multi-step form with 8 steps, right? On step 8, I have this particular image, which is fetching the value from a link, which I'm storing on the CDN. I want to show this image, so I want it to want this to happen, but I want to make it scroll up, so it should basically, I think, look like this. So how do I do that? So this, if I just pull this image out, this is uploaded. I think this is a full body shot, right? I want it to snap only on the upper half of the image. So I'm guessing it would be done using CSS, but is there a way to do it natively, or how do I do it?
Yes, you can. You can do that. I think it would be easier as a background of a div. So instead of using an image here, because I think with the image you won't be able to do it properly. So let's try to do it with a div. So could you or just yes, perfect, like this. You can give that div fixed width and height, like your image. So maybe instead of, yes, in here, put that into some pixels. Okay,
Sorry, so
great.
it would be
Yes, width, yes, perfect
um,
here, and also 100 pixels here.
yep.
Okay, good. And so now if you scroll a bit, you can change the background and add an image as a background.
All right, I'll do that.
So just yes, here, and you can bind to your URLs that you used.
Yep,
I did not
it's
know we had this copy paste functionality. I'm just discovering it. Thank you.
Okay, so here, so why don't we have the image now? So we bound the image to the URL and it should work. Can you select the formula, please, that you paste? Can you, yes, here. No, this one should work, definitely.
I did try this earlier. This did not work that time too, so I was apprehensive.
We haven't done
Oh,
that.
there's a gap in screenshot, but maybe in the URL there's a space. Could that be causing an issue?
Same URL is working for the image, so I guess not.
Yeah.
Image, so it should work here. I don't understand. I haven't done that for a while.
Okay.
Because
And
you
it
see
can't
here
be
you've got
the order of layers, right?
X and position Y, sorry, and this is what I intend to use, and I don't understand why it's not working. Let me try on my side to see if we have a bug.
Andreas is suggesting you hover over the little I of expected format. Yeah, when you go inside the formula. Yeah, but I think it will just,
Can you
yeah,
select
it will say
layer?
it expects a string, which
Can
it
you
does.
change the layers? Instead of grad image call, can you just try image first? Normally it should work. And try image. Okay, let's do this. Give me a second.
Andreas, it should like the string with it looks, it's not recognizing it as a string, which is strange because it's displaying a current value inside quotes. So. And what if you wrap this, if you just use the two-text formula? I don't think it will work, but
So it works on my side, so understand why doesn't work on your side.
it's not working either. I didn't think it would.
Should I file a bug?
Sorry?
Should I file a bug?
Yes, so we could take a look ourselves. Normally you should just bind. I just tried it with a URL on my side and it works. So there is something wrong in your configurations that we need to take a look to understand. But normally, what you should do in here, you bind to your URL and you see you've got some options below with position X and position Y, and then you can just move your background image like this.
Awesome, got it.
To just on that. But yes, please create a ticket on the support .web.io application, and we'll be able to give us the link of this project, and so we could take a look to understand what's going on.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you. All right, the next question we have is John, who has a question about like the difference between app load versus page load and trying to better understand that, as well as maybe mount versus before unmount. I don't know, John, if you want to hop on, if you want to show us something, or if you're just the theory around both. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'll promote you as a panelist.
Hey, what's
Hey,
up,
John.
Yeah, thanks for letting me ask the question here. So I'll go and share kind of the context of the question. I didn't know how to articulate it, but what I'm trying to juggle here is local variables stored in local storage to persist across tabs within the same session, but then trying to reset those variables once the session is over. And what I mean by why I air quote it, right? Our session is, I think 60 minutes, but in my opinion, because this is also a data platform, if you close your browser, regardless, it should also clear those variables out. So let me go and switch over, share my screen here. Go desktop share. All
I
right,
can
so
see from
I'm currently
Flo's
in
face
stage.
that he's very tickled by this question.
So I've been staging because this is the one place where I can actually recreate the open and new tab scenario. So if we go here to the calls, so one of the things we're trying to do is persist like these filters. And so I'm saving these all in the local storage. And so if I click view details, didn't mean to do it that way. Let's go back. So if I click and open a new tab, the problem that I'm having is that historically I was loading everything on app load, but when it opens up in here, it's like wiping everything out, I believe. So just trying to better understand like when I should employ app load versus page load. My understanding of app load is at the very beginning of the entire session, and then evidently every time you open up a new page.
Okay.
So
So one question before. Yes, perfect. You're showing that what I wanted. So why do you need to save this this variable? Just to when you change page, right? To save the some data between pages.
yeah, so this like the budget and the date filter. I think it's actually the date filter that I'm actually I'm building that on the front end, but using data that informs it on the back end. Let me see if I can find that one. Date filter version 3.
Okay. Nice.
I'll collapse this.
Okay. Can you select just one of those variables?
Like this one here.
Okay, so object date filter. And this one, so can you go to the data tab on the left? Is here, and it was object date filter. So could you just, yes, select that one? Oh, you had, yeah. Okay, so this one, so you have preserve on navigation. So basically when when you have this toggled as preserve on navigation, this variable will persist between pages. If you reload
Okay.
your application, the variable will be, so if you refresh your page, for example, it will take the default value. So this is how it works. So really, it's the session, like you said. It's like a session. So this is a way to save some data between pages. But if your users refresh the page or just share a link, you won't have the data. If you are using save in local storage, it's different. This is saved on the browser. So if you just restart your computer and get back to the application, you will have the data. The data will persist. So when you are using save in local storage, you really need to always think about a way to reinitialize this variable. This is kind of dangerous to use save in local storage.
Yeah.
So the difference between page load and upload, it's just when the workflow is triggered. So if you add a workflow on page load, it will be loaded. This workflow will be triggered, sorry, every time you change a page. If you are adding a workflow at upload, it will just be triggered the first time the application is loading. If you are on a page and you hit refresh on your browser, the whole application will be reloaded. So upload will be triggered. But if you are just changing pages in your when you are navigating with your application without refreshing your browser, it won't trigger this workflow.
Okay. So I guess let me also ask you, you reminded me about the second part of this, so I'm gonna go and close this. So one of the things I was trying to do is, I think what you were saying is that when I click reload data here, it is doing an upload on the other side of it.
This one is for the editor. I don't think it would trigger the upload. I think if you need to trigger upload, you need to refresh really even the editor.
Okay. Because one of the things I'm also trying to do is make sure that what actually happens on upload matches our expectations, like our desires, right? So when we're testing this,
So yeah, the
my
best
habit,
way
of
is
course,
to refresh your page, even the editor. Just a
so
command
not
R.
this, but like a hard command R refresh.
Exactly. And then
Okay.
you are sure that you are triggering everything like your users.
Gotcha. So as of right now, I've effectively disabled. I mean, you can see I actually have a pass through here for basically just set to false
Yeah.
to test whether I actually need an on upload. And so
Yeah.
like our current, like the flow that I'm trying to control here is ultimately you always go here instead of, to me, this is quote unquote upload, but we're not going to load anything until you actually sign in. So there's no need for an upload. And so all I'm doing is doing the same exact flow that would have happened on upload on that sign in. And then this all loads. And so now everything is tied to on page load. And I just want to kind of make sure like I'm doing that right. Like there almost seems like there's no need to do on upload. Or there's probably rare cases, and I'm not one of those cases.
Okay, so what you could do is to take all the logic here inside just one workflow, just as a global workflow. And then you would add on upload, just execute, you would just add an action to execute that workflow with a pass-through condition, like make sure the page is not logging.
Okay.
And then just for your home page, because this is where you are leading to just after login, just for your your home page, you add this execute workflow to trigger it. I would do it like this. So take all the logic, put it inside one workflow, just to be triggered on execution, and then just trigger it twice. Triggers this workflow twice. Once on upload with a pass-through condition to make sure that it won't happen on the login page, and one on the home page, make sure that it's triggered on the home page because usually it could be triggered twice if your user go directly
I think the
to.
reason I have it on page load too is if they are within their session, they close their browser, they come back, and they type a URL directly to that. We want to make sure that we're fetching the latest data. And I don't know if that happens just because that data already exists on that page, or if I actually have to refetch the collection to see if there are any new rows of data. So that's why I currently have it in page load, because I want to make sure of every page, but it does probably feel like a burden on the system, no? Like,
Yes.
I mean, every page.
Yeah, it's you could improve the performances by not doing this like this. So okay, if you do like I said, the only thing you need to add is a variable just to make sure that if you are executing the workflow, don't trigger it twice. If the user come
A counter almost.
yes, just
Okay.
or something like is loading. You just create a variable for this, and at the beginning of the workflow, you pass this variable to true, and at the
Yeah.
end you pass it to false. So you are sure that it won't be triggered twice.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
All
Cool.
right, cool.
I'll give that a shot, but I appreciate the
But
guidance.
don't hesitate to reach out to reach out. So if you struggle to do this, keep us posted.
Yeah.
We'll do.
A
We'll
post
do.
on the community or next week same time. and we can take it from there, whatever works for you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Sounds good, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so next question is from Benjamin. Let me add you as a panelist. And it's about using the slider image carousel, and he's struggling a little bit. There doesn't seem to be a lot of documentation on the subject yet. I don't think we have an article on it. It's one of the older elements we have. So we might update it at some point as we work more and more with components, but let's see if we can help you with your use case already.
I completely lost you because when I rejoined, you got cut off. I don't really have much to show. I mean, I have my application, but the actual part with the slider, I just couldn't. I mean, I guess I could show you, but I couldn't figure out how to position it or where to start.
okay.
So maybe it would
Do you
just
have
be better.
do you have a few images on, or if you're more comfortable, I can do it on one. I can share my screen and show you on one of my apps if you prefer.
I mean, that might make sense. I can show you my screen, but like I said, it's just like
Okay, no worries.
a kind of blank and
No worries. Let me try to pull up a project for you so I can show you quickly. Here we go.
and then the end result would just be like that, you know, typical like image above with, you know, for e-commerce and a slider below.
So yeah, actually you shared that. So let me show, this is what you
Something
shared
like
in
that,
the, okay.
It's like every other e-commerce app has that sort of layout.
All right, so let's see if I have don't think I have a project with the slider, so let me just open my test project. And let's see if I have a slider page. Yes, I do. Okay. So let's see, I have a content slider, which I don't care about for now.
I think.
And this image slider. What?
No, that's it. I let you,
Yeah.
Joyce.
All right, so let's just I put it that way. All right, so the way it works is
You
on
can-
here on the image slider, you
So
can
this-
bind, sorry.
Yeah, this is an element you can find in the add panel, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. So in the add panel, you can, I think it's called slider. You have a content slider, image slider, and infinite slider. And for this one, there are a few different settings, but I think,
The second one you want.
yeah, you want, in this case, you want the image slider, but I think some of the settings are actually the same. So here, for example, on my image slider, you can see I can loop, and I can have autoplay. So I can play around with that. The idea is that you want to, this is where you would bind your images. So let's see if I have some images in here. Maybe not. So, but I do have Rick and Morty characters that have images. So let's see if I can. If I can create some images in here.
I think you can bind directly to the collection now. No need
Oh, I
for.
think so.
Yeah.
Because then I don't. Yeah, but then my slide is the entire object, so I need to filter by key and get the image, I think. No, so
You can just use dot notation, right? And
Yes,
you can do
yeah.
Rick
okay.
and Morty data dot URL.
Yeah.
That's how I've been doing it.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
think-
got the URL? Okay, image. That's the one I wanted.
No, not like this,
No?
because that's the collection. Now you need to select the image to do that. Just
Oh, so
select,
here you want
yeah,
it here in the layout?
you should have the context.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought it was more complex. Weebweb is easier than I thought. Yeah, so now I think you should be okay. And it would work like this. So you were saying, sorry, I forgot who, it's Benjamin, right?
Benjamin, yes.
Yeah, so you managed to do that. So that you already managed to do what you were, or does that help you?
I think so. I guess I'm just I'll have to play around. What I might have done something wrong with the styling. It's in a flex box. But then how do you change the can you just show me how you change the slider elements? The icons, do you just change the icon there, or how does that work?
These
The left
things?
and the right. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, for example, yeah, you have the icon here. So you could change that, have it say, have this one instead, or change the style, but red. So those are, and so here, let's say we can rename it right, and this one would be left. And the dots, I guess. I guess you could even hide these if you didn't want them. Here you go. And here, for the left one, it's not. Oh yeah, because it goes back to the. So maybe to edit here, I might want to unbind this so I have access to it. No. Where is it? Why can't I? Oh. So that's not very practical, but you could here, and that way it would be. This one here is the left one. So maybe if I let me change the width. No, I still can't see it. So that might be something we can work on our site to make it more easy to use.
But in the end, the one from Amazon is easier than that. I mean,
that's true.
I can share my screen to show you how to build it quickly. Oh, I'm not allowed to do that, Joyce. Ah, yes, I can now.
You know?
Yes, I can. Up. Let me share the screen. Okay,
Yeah, I think the idea was to have a bunch of them rather
Yeah.
than just like a hero where we're scrolling through one at a time. I didn't know maybe the infinite slider does that, or there's.
Or
Oh no, but I think what Florian is gonna show you is you can actually build it from scratch without using any of the slider elements.
So in here I've got a table with I've got some data collection with basically an image for each row. So I think if I go here, yes, it's just a list of items here, and in each item I should have, yes, a URL here. So basically I added a div. In that div I'm going to add an image here. Okay, let me add just a fixed width, like 100 pixels. Okay, and I'm going to select that flexbox and bind all the items. So it will repeat this image for each rows I have inside my data. So let me bind to the list of items here. Okay, let me select the flexbox and just make it horizontal. Maybe some space between them. And then I can select my image, bind here to the URL. Okay, I think it was
Below, you see it here. It's unfolded, but it's the last one.
okay. So we do have some images here. Maybe I could do something like cover and xi2. Okay, this is better. And now what you wanted is to have another image just before this list. Like here. Okay. And when I click on one of those images, you should have the proper URL here. That's right. So what you can do is to create a variable. Okay. Let me call it image URL. That could be of type text. Okay, I can click now here, create just a text. And what I'm going to do is to add a workflow on this image here and set my global variable, global URL. So on click on the image, I just want to basically change the value of this variable I just created to the one I clicked on. So image URL, I can click the bind button, and in here I'm going to have the context of the repeated element. So I can select again the URL here. And normally, if I click tests, now on my variables, you see I've got the URL in this one. And so I just have to select my image here and bind it to my global variable. Okay, and so now if I click preview here and I click on the image, I've got something similar like you have. So then you can add some animations or update the design, but basically this is what you have on Amazon, right? On the example you were displaying.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I guess I got caught up in the slider, but this is easy enough to
Yeah, and
execute.
you'll have
Thank
more
you so much.
flexibility. You'll have more flexibility, for example. Yeah.
This
The
is
first
another
thing
way,
that came to mind is adding the cursor pointer.
but this is a good point as we are working on the starter kit to give you more ready-made elements. I keep that one in mind.
Yeah, because the design is actually much nice. Like it's very nice and clean out of the box.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. So you would just have to bind to the collection and just select the URL and done. I keep this in
Cool.
mind.
So I guess I don't know if that leads us into the follow-up question, which was about Medusa. It might be
no,
a little
yeah, if we can just try to circle back to
circle
that one
through.
because we have quite a few questions
Quite
and
a
only
queue.
18
Okay.
minutes left. But we'll
Thanks
try to
so much,
circle back to
guys.
it. And yeah, the next one I'd like to take on is a fairly straightforward one. Is the one from Julian, who is asking for the ETA and estimated time for the marketplace.
So normally mid-March is the date. Right now we are testing many things, keep building some things, but I hope that we are going to be ready now in the coming weeks. So this is for this month.
Mid-March is in 10 days.
Yes, maybe it's going to be hard, but this is what we said. So let's try to keep this like this, but for this month for sure.
Yeah, and just to Julian, like actually in the chat while we take other questions, I'd be interested to know if like if you're interested in sharing a template you created or components you created for free, because for now the marketplace will be for free. The first version of the marketplace will be for free. Please reach out to me. You can reach out to me personally on the community, and I'll walk you through the steps. And yeah. That's done. Benjamin, I see a question, so I just wanna take a few questions from the others before we circle back to Medusa. Alden is asking, in the data query from Supabase, can you filter or sort by joined objects? So form ID, name, form type. Yes, you can. I am going to add you as a panelist in case you have a very specific use case you want to. Oh, I can't find you. So maybe. So Alden seems to have left the meeting, but I'm going to share. So I'll move on to the next question and share the user documentation on that topic because it is possible and it is documented. So I'll share that in the chat in a second. For now, let's go to Pablo, who is struggling with the multi-select drop-down. So I'll promote you to panelist, Pablo.
And also, Alden, we improved the Superbase plugin some days ago, and you have a lot more options on with the select action. So the collection is not updated yet, but what you can do is just on page load or upload, instead of loading a collection, just use the select action and put that data inside a variable for now, if you struggle doing it with the collection.
Yeah, I'll share. So while Pablo shares his use case, I'll share some user docs in the chat.
Hi, Joyce. Hi, Flo. Can I show my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Give me 1 second. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so to give you some context, I'm building this multi-select dropdown to filter the data I have here.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem I'm having is I can't make it be exactly down this box. So
Okay.
I'm building it as a component,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm using, let me show you how it is configured. So it's a component, and this one is configured as a sticky. I know it's absolute
Mm-hmm.
with -30. The problem is that if this container is bigger, it goes like it doesn't go exactly below the parent group. And I don't know if like this depends on the height of this element or
Okay. Why did you need to put it with an absolute position? Can you just quickly show me how it is when you don't toggle absolute in a normal position?
sure.
Just-
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, can you go back where you were on
Uh-huh.
on these components? Yes, can you select that one? And can you just change the position instead of absolute? Could
Sure,
you select the normal position so I could see why it is in a
sure,
normal? Okay,
sure.
so it is. So it disappeared. It disappeared. Oh, I can't see it. Okay,
There's
can you?
conditional rendering on it right now.
Ah, yes.
I see in the layout
It's hidden. Yeah, you may need to toggle just force display. Oh no, also it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Why it is hidden?
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
to bind display the display property?
Yes, it's binded to a variable.
Okay.
So
And-
yeah,
yeah.
the logic is when I click the container, it shows up the options.
Can you click on it so we could just see it
Sure,
on the
sure,
instance?
sure. Let me change the. You mean click the.
Click the button and edit again. I think it should be displayed just to have this.
I mean, when you click this one, it changes the variable, so it
Oh, oh,
appears.
okay, okay. Okay, well, I need to change the properties to see where it is. Because for me, it should be top instead of bottom, I think,
Okay.
with the position. But maybe one thing you could try out is to use the drop-down element. Have you?
Yeah,
So
I try to use it. I mean, it's kind of less flexible, but I can try to
we update
use. You mean this one, right? Drop down.
drop-down. So
This one, right? Oh,
yes,
I mean,
The one, yes, yeah, data display drop down below this one, yes, because this one you should have just a drop zone. Okay, and you should be able just to you may need to go back to the I know you are in
Yeah,
the okay.
and can you make like multi-select with checkboxes
Yes,
in a drop-down?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Yes, you can. So can you open on the left on the layouts panel? If you see in here, yes, perfect. You see in here you've got two drop zones basically. The first one is the trigger, so it's the button.
okay,
So you could
okay.
just drop what you have succursal
Like these subjects.
exactly. You would drag
Okay.
and drop inside the trigger. And the
Okay.
other drop zone is the drop down. So basically everything you have on your absolute flexbox.
Okay, and I can customize the
Exactly, you can customize
like the
each.
checkboxes.
And
Okay.
the nice thing with this wrapper is that if you select it, if you select the drop down and you go to you see on the right on the sidebar, you've got trigger click, you've got the position, so to be
Okay.
bottom or
Yes.
and you also
Okay.
have animation, if I remember well, so you can add some fade or something like this.
Okay,
And the next thing is
great.
that click somewhere else, it will
It will close.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's right. Let me try this one, and if I have a question, I can come back next week.
Sure.
For sure. Or if you're stuck, feel free to post in the community as well if you
Sure.
need a more, if you need us to be more responsive.
Sure, great.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye.
Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. All right, so another question we had from Theo asking for a way to set up a cookie consent modal that would allow the user to allow or block the Google Tag Manager script running. So he's currently using the GTM plugin that is giving access to tools such as Hotjar. Unfortunately, I won't be able to hop on stage at this time, but I'm curious about learning about the best approach to handle that. My first instinct would be they're like cookie banner tools that do that, like where you just embed the cookie banner through HTML. Do you think it would be better for him to like build his own cookie banner in WeWeb?
It depends on what you want to have with the branding and so on. So usually you prefer to use a cookie banner with an external tool to do that. But if you wish to do it yourself, indeed you would have to create it yourself. You've got a modal element to do that you can just trigger on upload and use the local storage variable. So when the user click on something, then when it comes back, the banner won't appear again.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is a really good use case for local storage.
So is light mode and dark mode, by the way.
Okay. One other reason to use local storage to also save light and dark mode.
No, because that's the one example that stuck to me. Like I'm sharing it because it's the one example that helped me understand why local storage is useful.
Yeah.
Um,
In that case, it's
and so Benjamin is asking, and I really want to try to get to the Medusa, but is also asking a way to create a flag so that if things change on the server, you reload rather than always load. So real time, basically, I guess. That depends on your backend more.
exactly. I don't remember what backend you were using. But yes, you need what we call WebSockets to do this. I know Zano is supposed to release this feature soon. So when they do, you will have a trigger where you can just execute a workflow when you receive the data with the condition you want. But this is not something native. You need to have that on the backend side. If you are using Supabase, you can tick real time for some tables on Supabase and on WeWeb. And so when you have a change, it will be automatically sync with your collection will be synced with your backend automatically. And we may add more triggers in the coming months with this.
And Vikrant came back with some more information because apparently the URL worked when it was pasted. I would still suggest you open a bug ticket because it really seems like a bug. So the team will investigate. We can't think of a workaround right now. I think it's a bug and it needs to be fixed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And we need to understand.
And so we've got Ken's question about, we've got only 5 minutes left, but we've got Ken's question about authentication. And he's saying it will be easier to ask live. So let me promote you to panelist. And just while Ken jumps on, Benjamin, for your question about Medusa, you're saying they have a JS client. I think that would be a great question for the community because otherwise it will require us to go through their documentation to check if it's possible or not. And since we only have like 4 or 5 minutes left, I think the community would be like, you'll get an answer more quickly. I think I'll still, yeah.
Yes, Benjamin, ping Joyce or myself in your post.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and tell me your name.
I'm Joyce. Yeah, sorry.
Joyce,
It says
okay.
WeWeb because
I thank you. I've watched tons of your tutorials. I just wanted to know you're famous, your actual name. Okay. So
yeah.
while I was waiting, I went ahead and typed this question out. If there's a place for me to paste it, maybe here in the QA. It won't give me that many characters. Okay. And then maybe I can ask it live for the sake of efficiency. So this is basic authentication question. I've built an app in WeWeb with Xano as a backend, and I appreciate the several examples of Xano authentication that WeWeb uses, and then in Xano they have authentication through social auth providers, right? So with me so far? And so my question is confirming that if I'm using Xano to use a third-party social auth provider like Reddit, which I'm using, it feels this again. This is very elementary. Hopefully, it's that you guys can appreciate. That process requires tokens and authentication, and let's say I get that right. Reddit provides me with some information, but WeWeb, the intention of WeWeb is to use Xano auth and then only use tokens that are generated by Xano for WeWeb's purposes. So in other words, it was confusing to me a little bit if my ultimate goal is to have like Reddit content in my WeWeb app. The basic concept of auth that WeWeb uses is really the tokens themselves are generated by Xano, and that's kind of a WeWeb Xano thing rather than a Reddit thing. Is that right?
Yes, it is. If you are using Xano host, you will receive the token from Xano. So if you wish to have the same token that is used from your third party, you need to configure your endpoint in Xano to return the same token and not generate a new one. So you've got this. Usually you have to provide 3 endpoints from Xano: the sign in, sign up, and the get me. And you can do anything you like inside those 3 endpoints. So if you wish to return something else than the token generated from Xano in the snippet they are providing in their starter kit, you can go inside this endpoint and return something else from Reddit, for example, if Reddit is returning a token, and then we will return that token. So,
and would that be a reasonable way to do it rather than try to circumvent Xano and have WeWeb reach out? If I'm already comfortable with the Xano integration into WeWeb, then I could just customize those endpoints to give me whatever I'm ultimately looking for, but stick with kind of the WeWeb Xano pathway.
It's a better way to do this and use Zano to discuss with Reddit. I think it's better. If for one reason, for an architecture reason, you want WeWeb to be directly connected to Reddit, then this is something else. You need to build it in another way. But I think for you, it would be a lot better just to keep that connection between WeWeb and Zano. That's what I would do. And then I would just build a better relation between Zano and Reddit.
Okay. And then just to kind of ask my first question again, so make sure I have a steel trap on it. All these, like there's 6 examples of social logins that Xano provides in their documentation, but each of those, you don't really care. It's the Xano token that WeWeb gets, and that's what you guys care about. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely
Okay.
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Joyce and Florian, for being there. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And Mauro, we're just gonna take maybe we'll try to take just 1 minute to answer your question. Not sure if it's possible, but that'll be the last question. So Mauro saw a member in the community post about Viewform and was wondering if there's so Mauro can't come on as a panelist. He was wondering if there's a possibility of integrating or having compatibility with WeWeb. So I think it's similar to Medusa. Maybe post your question in the community and we'll get back to you on that one, because either we or someone from the community will have to go through the docs, the documentation a little bit before we can answer. So yeah.
Well, I can tell you something is that with the marketplace, we are working on a better developer experience and to allow you to create your own plugins.
Yeah.
So basically, it will be a lot easier to wrap existing things in the developer world, and then just provide that so you can use those components or those formula from those plugins or those JavaScript things within the editor for everyone. So this is also why the marketplace is taking a bit of more time to deliver, because we really want to allow you to create your own plugins.
All right, cool. Well, that was a super intense sessions. Thanks so much for all your questions. They were awesome. I see, Theo, you're saying you were initially looking at a cookie consent library, which is why you were asking about NPM as well. Yeah, please post in the community. We'll do our best to answer. If we when it's more technical like that, yeah, we need to kind of dig in a bit further. But more than happy to help. So thanks so much for attending. Thank you, Flo, for being your usual awesome self, and see you all very soon. Bye.
Bye.